pursuing Anthony Joshua. And the reason has everybody side-eyeing this whole situation. From what's being said, Jake is claiming Anthony Joshua went off script. And when I say off script, I mean there was supposedly a no knockout clause, or at least very specific fight rules, and Joshua hitting Jake so hard that his jaw got dislocated in 2 places was not part of that agreement.
It's like this is the clearest fixed fight you're ever gonna see. But look at this guy holding his hands up and watch. Watch that. He literally shows him his chin and he goes down. It's so fake. Look at him, he's got nothing. It's like a guy who just learned boxing yesterday.
World title in everyone's imagination. That's the heavyweight champ. You were here. Everyone else was here. But since then, the feeling has been Joshua makes all this money fighting anyway, 30 million pounds, whatever it is. Why should he take 40 or 50 to fight Wilder when he's making against anybody? He can make 30, 40 million pounds, whatever it is.
No fantasy contracts, just reality. You know, bringing our work to the table and bargaining and negotiating what we're worth and making this fight.
It ends with lawsuits murmured behind closed doors, reputations burned, and a heavyweight legacy left staring into a massive void. But to understand how it reached this point, you have to rewind, because if you hesitate for even a second, you miss the exact moment the sport's backbone cracks, when everything unraveled from a silent room into a full-blown public collapse. And the fallout is heavier than any knockout, louder than any paycheck, and deeper than wounded pride, because this isn't just about a fight anymore. It's about whether what you're watching can be trusted at all. And you want to say this can't be real, you want to deny it, but it is real. And that's what makes it truly unsettling.
That's why Jake Paul is so relevant, because he's found a way to bypass promoters and make money in the boxing rings instead of being a prisoner to the promoters. Even though he didn't fight anybody, he's about to fight Anthony Joshua, and we'll see what happens with that. Anthony Joshua should knock him into tomorrow because he's the bigger fighter with incredible power, but he's got a glass jaw. So if Jake Paul catches him, who knows?
The instant this story leaked, it didn't carry the familiar circus noise that usually surrounds big fights, because this wasn't trash talk, it wasn't marketing. And it sure as hell wasn't hype. It felt like a sealed door cracking open, just enough to expose something rotten behind it. Power, control, and a quiet implication, so dangerous it could poison the entire heavyweight landscape. Because when Anthony Joshua speaks flat, stripped of drama, and drops a sentence that sounds harmless but lands heavy and cold, that isn't conversation, that's a calculated warning. A message meant to be heard without being repeated. And you felt at the moment it hit. Don't pretend otherwise. Because your gut clenched before your mind could rush in and convince you this was just another headline.
Fighting's not just physical, it's psychological. And when you understand the psychological warfare, I did say to you that, Jake, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna see a time when I'm gonna take your soul and you're either gonna give up or you're gonna get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct, you just will never be a good fighter. So I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start. But as we saw tonight, Jake has spirit.
Here's where it turns ugly. Because when this finally surfaced, it didn't explode into the open. It crawled out quietly, slipping into a space where the masks come off and the truth gets careless. And that's the part that should unsettle you. Because this wasn't someone hunting attention or chasing clicks. This was a heavyweight ruler calmly laying out why certain fights always feel off, why some doors stay permanently locked, and why money keeps pounding louder than integrity ever does. And don't sit there and pretend you don't hear it getting closer, because that sound isn't fading, it's closing in.
There's people out there that are going, Jake deserves credit, this is amazing, he's gone 6 rounds with Anthony Joshua. He hasn't gone 6 rounds with Anthony Joshua, he spent 5 rounds on his bloody bike, and the other diving for cover. Come on, let's get real about what happened last night. The dude basically used the greedy to hoodwink the stupid. Fair play to the kid, man. He made 50 million plus. I mean, someone's just sent me a message saying that they did 90 million. Respect. There's people out there saying, oh, he kept getting dropped multiple times and getting up. No, he didn't. Stop lying.
You want the real shock? Here it is. Power has reached a place where it believes fights can be steered, outcomes whispered into shape, and legacies sketched lightly enough to erase when they become inconvenient. And the second that mindset even brushes against a fighter built on real damage, real blood, and scars that were paid for in full, something fractures. Because fighting is not content, it's not a narrative arc, It's not something you edit in post. And the moment you reduce it to a product, you invite disorder, backlash, and exposure. So yeah, I'll say it plainly. Someone out there truly believed Anthony Joshua could be controlled, packaged, and adjusted like a brand asset. And that belief is far more dangerous than any punch ever thrown.
AJ, do you think Jake is on your level whatsoever?
No. No.
No, okay.
Respectfully. Because it's clear. If I say yes, I'm going to be lying to myself, and I can't lie to myself. It's not that he can't compete,
Right.
but when you talk about, for example, music, how many albums I've put out, how many mixtapes I've put out, he just hasn't got the body of work I've got in boxing.
Got you.
I can already hear the damage control lining up, misunderstandings, jokes gone wrong, tactical talk taken out of context. But forget the excuses and listen to the tone. Listen to the restraint, because that calm is the giveaway. And when a man refuses the circus and quietly draws a line, it echoes louder than any accusation ever could. And here's the part nobody wants to touch, the part that makes this uncomfortable. If this was said here, then who else heard it? Who else agreed without speaking? Who else looked away and stayed silent? Because silence isn't neutral, it isn't clean, and it sure as hell isn't innocent.
In the fight game, you've seen the amazing fighters that have graced us over the last 100 years, and the expectations that we put on ourselves are.
This is where the psychological blade really sinks in, because this sport lives and dies on uncertainty, on the belief that once the bell rings, anything can happen. And the second you contaminate that idea, you don't just ruin one night. You strip value from years of blood, sacrifice, and belief. And every fan who ever shouted themselves hoarse feels it deep down, even if they can't explain it. That slow, crawling doubt. That quiet voice in the back of the mind asking whether the outcome was. Already leaning a certain way before the gloves ever touched. Whether the dice were loaded long before the first punch was thrown.
Suing Anthony Joshua. And the reason has everybody side-eyeing this whole situation. From what's being said, Jake is claiming Anthony Joshua went off script. And when I say off script, I mean, there was supposedly a no knockout clause, or at least very specific fight rules, and Joshua hitting Jake so hard that his jaw got dislocated in 2 places was not part of that agreement. Jake basically saying that punch crossed the line from just boxing into what he's calling malicious intent.
From Jake Paul's side, the silence is deliberate, not confusion. And don't get it twisted, in a sport drowning in doubt, saying nothing is the sharpest weapon he has. This isn't about jealousy of crossover money. It's about control, about who owns the story and who thinks they can guide violence like it's a scripted scene. And when that kind of thinking collides with a fighter who earned his power the hard way, the rejection becomes the real headline. Because that refusal sends a dangerous message to the people pulling strings. And yeah, it rattled them. Because it proves something they hate admitting out loud. Not everyone can be bought.
Jake Paul gets knocked out predictably by Anthony Joshua in tonight's fight. Now, I am torn on this fight. When it first started and Joshua was giving it, I'm thinking, oh, here we go again. It's the Tyson fight again. We're talking about 2 fighters who are pretending. It looked like a Rocky fight at the start. Joshua was afraid to let go. He was just like tapping. Let Jake get a few punches and everything. And then I'm thinking, hang on, I'm torn between 2 ways.
As this conversation leaked out, fighters and analysts started circling it without naming it. And pause here for a second, because this is the part that should make your skin crawl. The response wasn't clear denial. It was fog-thick, deliberate fog. And fog is where speculation multiplies, where clips get replayed frame by frame, where fans start connecting dots that promoters desperately want kept apart. And I'm telling you straight, there's more buried under this than what's been said so far. Because the truth is still sitting there untouched, and saying it out loud would strike a match nobody in this sport could ever put out.
Messy. If Jake is really saying this fight was supposed to follow a script, then what does that say about the event, the Vegas crowd, the betting money, all of that? Because that opens up a whole different conversation nobody wants to touch. He's allegedly claiming Anthony Joshua could be on the hook for something like $20 million for violating the rules and going beyond what was agreed upon. But let's be real for a second. This is boxing. People get hit. Jaws get broken. That's literally the risk you take stepping into the ring.
You think that split reaction was accidental? No chance it was tribal because one side needs the spectacle to stay polished and profitable, while the other needs the sport to remain untouchable. And when those two worlds collide, the damage doesn't explode right away. It creeps in through whispers, careful statements, and people choosing every word like they're stepping on broken glass. And that hesitation alone tells you everything you need to know.
Have a section where the two parties are going to meet, talk, discuss, have this. Just watch this video.
And mentally.
It's already written.
Where?
In the history books, brother.
In yours, not mine.
No, it is.
No.
You'll see. There's only one God, and God wrote it.
You see with Jake, what I learned about Jake is that he's a mental person. This is my observation. Not only the physical aspects of training, but the way he thinks, meditation, breath work. If I can break his soul and I can break his mentality.
Here's the time bomb nobody wants to touch. Because the second the idea of a script slips into the bloodstream, every punch gets doubted, every slow round gets side-eyed, every tactical pause starts to feel dirty, and suddenly fans aren't watching fights anymore. They're re-watching them like crime scenes, hunting for signs, replaying moments frame by frame. And that's not entertainment, that's mistrust. And mistrust spreads faster than any promo, louder than any hype. And once it takes hold, no amount of marketing can put that genie back in the bottle.
Was he carrying Jake Paul? Was he carrying Jake Paul because of the script with the mentality of knocking him out before time? Or was Joshua not wanting to potentially hurt this guy? Like hurt him? Like he was throwing single punches, sometimes the odd one or twos. You know what I mean? The first 4 rounds, you're talking like 8 punches to 5 punches. And he was like, I was thinking now, there's some sort of script.
The shockwaves didn't stay inside boxing, they spread outward. And what keeps sticking with me is what wasn't said, how Joshua didn't posture, didn't perform, didn't try to squeeze attention out of it. And that restraint makes the implication heavier. Because people chasing clout don't move like that. But people defending a line, they refuse to cross due. And if this is making you uneasy, that's the point. Because comfort is exactly how this kind of thing stays alive.
The Jake Paul fight script just got leaked and the details are absolutely insane. This script goes back to the initial promotion where he was supposed to fight a super underweight Gervonta Davis. But we now learn this fight was never supposed to happen. The plan was always to fight Anthony Joshua, but they started with a villain arc by positioning him against someone 70 pounds lighter. So when he goes to fight someone heavier instead, he looks like a hero underdog instead of the initial side. That's just the beginning. The script for the actual fight is set up for it to go the distance and Paul to be awarded the win by decision.
This moment exposed a brutal power imbalance, because if something like this could be casually floated to a global star, imagine the pressure on fighters with no leverage, no voice, no exit, the silent nods, the vague contracts, the deals made in shadows. And don't insult yourself by pretending that world doesn't exist, because it does, and boxing has always been dangerous. Broken bodies are the price of entry. But the second that danger is treated like a flaw in a plan, the sport flinches. Because now the ring isn't a proving ground, it's a liability. And that shift should terrify you. So sit with the discomfort, because this isn't finished, not even close. The cameras are watching. The money is repositioning, fighters are paying attention. And somewhere someone is panicking because a line was drawn in public. And when the next truth drops, it won't come gently. It'll hit hard, ugly, and sudden. And when it does, boxing may not survive it looking the same. Like and subscribe for more controversial updates and upcoming fight news.